Secrets of the Mesozoic era. Cretaceous period. The Parabises include an infraspecies called the Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are divided into two families, a large family and a small family. The large family is called the Dromaeosauridae. The main distinguishing feature of Dromaeosaurids is a large, curved claw, which was used as a weapon or to climb trees. The tails of Dromaeosaurids were long and richly feathered. The animals could wave their tails from side to side like dogs. Dromaeosaurid tails could be used as an aerodynamic rudder when turning on the run. Dromaeosaurids ranged in size from 60 centimeters to 7 meters in length along with the tail. Larger Dromaeosaurids hunted in packs, like modern wolves. Smaller predators could climb trees like martens and monkeys. Many Dromaeosaurids were fast runners, reaching speeds of up to 70 kilometers per hour. The 1 kilogram Microraptor. It is the only living biplane known to science. The animal had 2 pairs of wings on the forelimbs and on the hind limbs. In gliding flight, the hind wings were placed under the forelimbs. It could not take off from the ground, but could only hover from one tree to another with a loss of altitude. Velociraptors were covered with feathers and weighed no more than 20 kilograms. These predators climbed trees like macaques. By the way, one of the Velociraptor's relatives, Sinornithosaurus, was the oldest lizard with a poisonous bite. Most likely, like modern predatory snakes, Sinornithosaurus used its venom to immobilize its prey rather than to kill it. The second small family from the Deinonychus group is the Troodonians. The size of the Troodons was also varied, from half a meter to 3 meters. They could weigh up to 60 kilograms. Some Troodon species laid eggs in oviraptor nests, like cuckoos today. Troodon is the only dinosaur with the largest brain. It is believed that Troodon began to evolve towards intelligence. Had there not been a catastrophe at the end of the Cretaceous period, it is likely that intelligent life on Earth would have appeared 50 to 60 million years earlier. The order Sauropods. These animals, like modern giraffes, specialized in eating branches and leaves from tall trees. Jurassic macronarians were as big as 44 meters and weighed up to 200 tons. At the beginning of the Cretaceous period, the brachiosaurs were replaced by titanosaurs, which were distinguished by their small heads, wide chests, and more flexible spines. The Brachytcosaurus in this group may be the largest terrestrial animal in Earth's history. Some of the smaller titanosaurs were covered with large, non-thick bone scales. Diplodocus, which specialized in eating meadow vegetation, declined in the Cretaceous period and finally became extinct in the middle of it. Cretaceous diplodocus were up to 20 meters in size and did not weigh more than 7 tons. Ornithopods. These animals were the first in Earth's history to learn how to chew their food, allowing these creatures to feed on tough vegetation. A small group of Cretaceous ornithopods called iguanodons appeared. These were large animals up to 13 meters long and up to 6 tons in weight. The giants lost their ability to run very fast, but acquired protective gear. Iguanodon probably grazed in large herds and fought together against predators. Tenontosaurus was up to 8 m long and weighed about 1 ton. The animal had no camouflage, no danger signals. Tenontosaurus was very slow, moving only on 4 legs, but the herbivore had an unusually long tail that was used as a weapon. The evolutionary strategy of the Tenontosaurus was a failure. In the mid-Cretaceous, these animals were eaten by the Deinonychus. the last and largest superfamily of ornithopods. These are the hadrosaurs. Hadrosaurs could move both on 2 and 4 legs. Gadrosaurs had a fully formed beak on the muzzle. In some species, the beak resembled a duck's beak, but the mouth contained up to 1,500 small chewing teeth, which were constantly falling out and being replaced by new ones. Hadrosaurs could reach 6 meters in length and weigh up to 23 tons. Some hadrosaurs, like Gryposaurus, grew large, fleshy noses instead of ridges. Brachylophosaurus had a peculiar bone cap on its head. Brachylophosaurs and Edmontosaurs often had cancerous tumors. Apparently, this was a special genetic glitch of these two closely related genera. Some gadrosaurs lived in polar regions. It is thought that the herbivores migrated to places with warmer climates for the winter marginocephalus. This is another large group of herbivorous dinosaurs. Most marginocephals belong to the infraorder Ceratops, distinguished from other dinosaurs by their distinctive beak like herbivorous turtles. Like ornithopods, ceratopses were covered with thin scales. Ceratops also learned to chew grass properly, and by the end of the Cretaceous period, they too had grown many small interchangeable teeth in their mouths. The smallest and most primitive family of ceratopses. These are the psittacosaurs. Only 2 meters long and 20 kilograms in weight. The offspring of Psittacosaurus have been hunted by many predators, including mammals. Almost all psittacosaurs died in the teeth of predators or from natural disasters. Psittacosaurs thrived for the first third of the Cretaceous period, after which they became extinct. Laeoceratops, Eumaceratops, Archaeoceratops, and Araceratops, like the latter, lived at the same time as psittacosaurs. These animals did not reach more than 1 meter in length. Leptoceratops reached 4 meters in length and weighed 200 kilograms. These herbivores had a small crest of bone on their heads to protect the neck from predator bites. The fourth and final, most numerous and evolutionarily advanced family of ceratopses. Ceratopsidae. These animals were up to 12 m long, weighing up to 12 tons, and had finally forgotten how to walk on 2 legs, and their heads had grown not only a protective collar but also 3 horns. Only the largest predatory dinosaurs dared to hunt the huge and heavy ceratopsids. Even in some cases, adult Ceratopsidae represented too dangerous opponent. Among Ceratopsidae, the subfamily Centrosaurini is distinguished by the bizarre shape of the collar and sometimes the presence of additional horns on it. The most striking possessors of beautiful equipment were Styracosaurus. Styracosaurs had nasal outgrowths, horns, and 6 horny spikes on the back edge of the bone shield. The heads of the animals reached up to 2 meters in length. The spikes and horns made Styracosaurus dangerous for many predators. This was the end of the ceratopses. Marginocephalus had one small infraspecies, Pachycephalosaurus. These small bipedal herbivores weighing up to 40 kilograms had a thickened skull, which was used by the animals in much the same way as modern sheep use their horns. Pachycephalosaurus males were probably among the dinosaurs the absolute champions of bashing. If such duels really took place, then such a powerful defense must have prevented the brawlers from blowing each other's brains out. After all, the opponents were probably facing such force that the strain on each head could have been 20-fold. Another suborder called Thyreophores. The first representatives of the Thyreophore Stegosaurus began to die out at the beginning of the Cretaceous period, and by the middle of the period had become completely extinct. The stegosaurs were replaced by ankylosaurs. They were armored plant-eating living tanks. At the very beginning of the Cretaceous period, this infraspecies split into 2 large families, the Nodosauridae and the Ankylosauridae. By the standards of Ankylosaurus, Nodosauridae armor was light. It protected only the upper, dorsal, half of the body, and gaps were formed between the plates when moving. The second family of ankylosaurs, Ankylosauridae. These animals had much more powerful armor. Many species had a heavy bone mace at the end of their tail, with which they could break the bones of predatory dinosaurs and if they were lucky enough to hit. Unlike nodosaurids, adult ankylosaurids were virtually invulnerable. No one hunted these creatures, but it was at the price of less mobility. Adult ankylosaurids were solitary animals. Only young individuals formed herds. Ankylosaurids were up to 9 meters in size, weighing up to 6 tons. Birds, already able to fly well, emerged that challenged the skies with older pterosaurs, gradually supplanting the latter. Archaeopteryxes became completely extinct. Some birds, however, did have teeth. In the Cretaceous period, ducks, half-lipped geese, loons, and plovers appeared, almost indistinguishable from modern versions of these birds. These are the Hesperornis, the first waterfowl. Hesperornis had 96 teeth. Young teeth grew inside the old teeth and were replaced as soon as the old teeth fell out. Hesperornis are very similar to the modern loon. Moving around on land was very difficult for this bird. Lifting the front part of the body and pushing off the ground with its legs, Hesperornis moved in small jumps. However, the bird felt free in the water. It dived well, and it was very difficult for fish to avoid its sharp teeth. Ichthyornis, contemporaries of Hesperornis, were the size of a pigeon. The birds flew well. The wings were strongly developed and the breastbone had a high keel to which powerful pectoral muscles were attached. The beak of Ichthyornis had many small curved backward teeth. The small brain of Ichthyornis resembled that of reptiles. In the late Cretaceous period, toothless birds appeared, whose relatives, flamingos, still exist today. Pterosaurs were still patrolling the skies of the Cretaceous. Pterosaurs had come a long way since the Triassic and many new forms of flying predators had evolved. Rhamphorhynchus became extinct at the very beginning of the Cretaceous. Only the pterodactyls remained. The first family of pterodactyls, the Istiodactylidae, had duck-like beaks with teeth hiding inside. The wingspan was 5 meters. Ornithochirids could reach a wingspan of up to 12 meters and were characterized by a distinctive vertical ridge on the end of their beaks. A whole series of Walking with Dinosaurs is devoted to the giant Ornithochirus. Pteranodontids with a wingspan of up to 9 meters had a large and sometimes bizarre crest on their heads. The giant tailless reptile Pteranodon from the family Pteranodontidae flew over the ocean and fed on fish. Pteranodon is one of the most highly evolved pterosaurs. The giant probably used its enormous wings, wingspan up to 18 meters, to hover freely over the ocean. Some of the fish caught at sea were in a special throat pouch to feed their cubs. Tenechasmatoids were relatively small, toothy pterodactyls. This pterodactyl, like a flamingo, roamed the shallows, filtering water through its large beak and filtering out the crustaceans it ate. Jungaripteroids, with a wingspan of up to 3.5 meters, had distinctive beaks. Long and sharp at the end, but strong and massive at the base. Jungaripterids specialized in eating mollusks, crabs, sea urchins, and other similar animals. Prominent among the Jungaripterids is Nemacolopterus, which migrated to the forest, shrunk to the size of a sparrow, and is virtually indistinguishable from a small bird. This pterodactyl, however, quickly became extinct, unable to withstand the competition with real small birds. Tapajarids, with wingspans up to 5 meters, were distinguished by a huge meter-long comb sail on their heads. Asdarchids had a wingspan of up to 14 meters and weighed up to 250 kilograms. These were the most advanced sea pterodactyls, with long toothless beaks and an aerodynamically perfect body shape. Quetzalcoatl was the largest flying creature of all time. But the giant pterodactyl did not fly very well and led the lifestyle of a stork, not an albatross. Now back to the last great group of Cretaceous archosaurs. These are the crocodilomorphs. The marine thalatozoans, up to 6 meters in length, became extinct at the very beginning of the Cretaceous. And the small, 1-meter-long primitive protozoans gradually became extinct, but still survived until the end of the Cretaceous. The place of protozoans and previously extinct sphenozoans was taken by notozoans. Notozoans are also terrestrial crocodiles, but a bit more advanced. Notozoans reached up to 4 meters in length. Marulazoans and Simozoans ceased to be predators and mainly ate fruits, nuts, and root vegetables. There were also completely herbivorous species among Notozoans. Armadillozoans was the Mesozoic analog of the modern armadillo. Little parasaurids separated from Notozoans at the end of the Cretaceous and occupied the ecological niche of foxes and jackals. Neozoids reached up to 10 meters in length and are considered to be the direct ancestors of modern crocodiles. Neozoics were almost indistinguishable from their present-day descendants. The largest of the Neozoics is considered to be the 10-meter-long Stomatozoics. Stomatozoics abandoned its predatory lifestyle and began to feed on plankton. Stomatozoics may have been eaten by Spinosaurus. Plesiosaurs with long necks and small heads that ate small fish and shellfish made up the lion's share of the Cretaceous Sauropterygiae. These animals could not swim fast, but they were very maneuverable. Plesiosaurs served as the prototype for the Loch Ness Monster. But unlike this mythical character, plesiosaurs could not stick their heads high out of the water and stare around. Just as a swimming man could not stick his head up to his waist out of the water and look around. Elasmosaurids. This is the largest family of Cretaceous plesiosaurs. The animals reached a length of up to 20 meters and weighed up to 14 tons. Libonex was characterized by a very stiff neck, fixed almost its entire length. Polycotyloids, Polycotylidae, reached a length of 6 meters and were distinguished by shorter necks and larger heads. The scaly reptiles of the large group Lepidosauromorphs. Mosasaurs. These are very large marine lizards that lived in the Cretaceous seas. Predatory giants occupied the ecological niche of marine crocodiles and were at the top of the food chain. They were quite aggressive animals. Many mosasaurs show traces of healed fractures and bites on their bones, apparently obtained in fights with their kind. Mosasaurs up to 15 meters in length are considered typical, as if reference mosasaurs, occupying an average position in most characteristics. Plipleticarpines up to 7 meters long. They were relatively small mosasaurs, feeding on small fish and mollusks. The largest of the Cretaceous mosasaurs were tylosaurids, whose size reached 17 meters. Predators hunted the largest prey. For example, Hanosaurus ate even sea turtles. Scientists have analyzed the remains of one Tylosaurus. It is known exactly what the predator ate before it died: a shark, several bony fish, a Hesperornis bird like a penguin, and a small mosasaur of another species. The other half of the genera of scaly reptiles of the Cretaceous period were lizards, as well as snakes and bipeds that had just separated from them. At the same time, the first Varanobacteria appeared. Cagonias was up to 1 meter long with its tail, and was the first varan on Earth. Shanlongzea was the first iguana-like lizard that could glide from tree to tree. Ichthyosaurs gradually became extinct during the Cretaceous and finally died out at the end of the period. Cretaceous turtles were virtually indistinguishable from modern turtles. Cretaceous turtles ranged in size up to 4.5 meters, weighing up to 2 tons. Most species were aquatic. The first beast-like animals appeared as early as the Triassic, over 200 million years ago. They were small, timid brutes who spent most of their time looking for insects to eat. In the first 100 million years, the bestial creatures barely touched by evolution. In the first half of the Cretaceous, major evolutionary changes began to take place among these inconspicuous mammals. The first marsupials and placental mammals appeared. It was these groups of animals at the end of the Cretaceous and beginning of the Cenozoic era that were to succeed the dinosaurs. The marsupial branch gave rise to the nearly modern possums, and the egg-laying branch to the nearly modern platypus. At the end of the Cretaceous, something very strange and mysterious happened. Belemnites, ammonites, pliosaurs, plesiosaurs, ichthyosaurs and mosasaurs disappeared overnight in the seas and oceans. On land, all the dinosaurs suddenly died out, and not a single pterosaur remained in the skies after the end of the Cretaceous period. Scientists have been puzzling over the mystery of this mass extinction for decades. This was the second large-scale extinction of life forms on our planet in the history of life on Earth. There are many hypotheses as to why the dinosaurs died out. Some researchers believe that the main cause was mammals, of which there were many at the end of the Cretaceous period. According to other researchers, the main reason for the mass death of dinosaurs was a dramatic change in the physical and geographical conditions at the end of the Cretaceous period. Cooling and drought led to a sharp decrease in the number of plants on Earth, as a result of which the giant dinosaurs began to feel the lack of food. Following the herbivores, the carnivores became extinct. In addition to the global climatic changes that took place, it is believed that the Earth collided with a giant asteroid, leading to the eventual extinction of many species. Like the video, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also hit the bell not to miss new and interesting videos from the channel Real Unreal.